Welcome, Gemini. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot, and I'm getting ready to do a new moon in Taurus reading for you, active on the 15th or 16th of May, depending on where you are. And Mars is in conjunction with Chiron. The signs are less important at this point. This is really about your passion, your determination, your energy being marshaled towards facing something that has been very damaging or wounding to you. This is about facing your fears. So that's an overall theme. And what I started with for you with the wild unknown archetypes is the threshold. And I'm going to read a little bit about this card. You have arrived at a threshold of initiation, here to usher you into a new reality. It requires you to leave behind the you that you thought was so well formed. A new frontier calls to you, and as a part of that, a part of you will be lost. A metaphorical death must occur. The ground seems to crumble as you free fall into your new reality. This is the liminal realm. So just take that one necessary step towards the future that calls you. And you're also cautioned that crossing a threshold may not always be voluntary. In fact, it rarely is. Sometimes we're thrown across the boundary through circumstances beyond our control. Either way, you cannot go back. I actually think, coupled with the Freedom card, this is a blessing for you. I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. So something is telling me here that you have really been clinging to a way of doing things, a way that you see yourself or position yourself that has been actually holding you back from gaining the liberty that you actually require in order to fulfill your desire to create your own happiness. So this is a pretty intriguing and a very open way of looking at the time that you are in at this particular moment. It feels as though you are closing out a number of beliefs or an investment in beliefs, structures, ideas, relationships that you've held fast to for a very long time. And they haven't gotten you what you wanted. But it's so much more comfortable to stay with what we know. It is difficult to leap forward in a new direction. And for some of you, something may have actually closed the door on you, forcing you out to this new place. For some of you, this can be the losing a job, closing of an organization or an institution you're affiliated with, you've worked at, you've gone to school at. This is an obvious way in which we can be forced into doing something different, to seeing ourselves different, having to market ourselves or put ourselves out there in a way that maybe calls on different skills that we've gained, but we haven't seen it because we've been in a familiar environment where we've been on a kind of automatic pilot. So in the present, we have the Queen of Wands. This is beautiful. This definitely shows that you know what you're worth. You understand your value, that you are inspired to grow. You're ready to grow. You know what you want, and you're able to pursue that. In fact, you're so determined that other people are magnetized to you. They read your determination. They are intrigued by your clarity of vision, and they are motivated by it. So this shows me you may be organizing something new, creating a new project, working at a new job, building a new business. But the intent is to start something fresh, and you are the leader in terms of how it's going to be accomplished. The queens and the kings hold different energies. The queen often is the one who knows how something is going to be achieved. They're the people who produce the result, not who declare it or claim it. So this represents really powerful, passionate energy on your part. In the past, the High Priestess. And this is coming through for many of you as an ancestor. Someone who understands you, may understand your mission, your purpose, your value in this life, someone who you experienced as perhaps a mentor in life, or someone who has passed on, but it's someone you knew. And it is likely it was a matriarch or a patriarchal figure in your family, someone who was wise, well experienced, and tried to coach you in a certain kind of path, success, profession. And from that experience, you may have taken many of the cues that you followed in most of your life or most of your professional practice, but you're to a point now where you have understood that you've gained different skills from the skills that you were trained in, from the direction you were pointed in, from the success that they had. It's going to be different for you now. It's a different world now. And you are supremely qualified to move forward with this passion, with this energy, with this clarity to provide some kind of a service. In the future, the Five of Wands indicates your team, a team you are a part of. It may not be a team that you are the boss of, because I don't see you working that way anymore. In fact, Gemini, for many of you, I see you working as independents in whenever possible. So that means you are a contractor, or you work as part of an agency to other organizations, something like that. Something in which you have a lot of autonomy. You are free to connect with people, to move freely in order to get your work done. You thrive on that. This becomes a collection of people like you, with whom you are collaborating to solve a problem, to create a service, a program, a product. And unlike in the past, where you may have been subjected to a kind of ultimate authority, this is you and your collaborators being equal stakeholders in a project, so that you are accountable to one another and you take credit for what you create collectively. It doesn't mean that everybody is on the same level, but you are a collection of experts. And in that way, you all decide how things are created and distributed. And this, it represents a really different way of working, not only for some of you. This certainly is incorporating elements you're very comfortable in. But this is different as an organizational praxis in the social world that we live in. This is not the way that organizations or corporations or many businesses are structured. And so this represents a kind of innovation, a kind of freedom that you've experienced, that you are sharing with others, a more efficient way to work. If this reading is resonating for you, Gemini, please like this video and subscribe to my channel, Pacific Tarot. It really helps me. I appreciate all the support that you give me by simply being here, by witnessing me, by checking in with me. I always welcome your comments, so I'm going to clarify the High Priestess in the past with 2 cards, please. And something flew, and the Death card and the Five of Wands. Let's continue here. I'm going to do the Queen of Wands in the present. 2 cards, please, for the Queen of Wands. The Eight of Swords and the Queen of Swords. And for the Five of Wands, 2 cards, please. These cards are so slick and oddly long. So I have the Moon card and the High Priestess again. That's lovely. I like that. I like confirmations because this ancestor is coming back to you. This ancestor is still in your corner, is helping you as you evolve and work in a way that suits you best. So in the past, the High Priestess is clarified by the Death card and the Five of Wands. And it's interesting because this talks about a complete transformation. It's quite likely that releasing the advisement, the mentorship, the instruction of the High Priestess, whoever that was, whatever ancestor that was, and again, I'm extending that to living relatives, or at least those that were living at a significant time in your life, even if they may have passed over. You have completely released yourself from that energy of advisement, from that counsel. You have experienced perhaps something that didn't suit you as a result of this support that you got, this mentorship. And instead, what you ended up experiencing was a lot of challenge, a lot of fighting, a lot of disagreement. This may be, if this was a relative, one part of the family aligning on different sides of an issue or an experience in which you felt caught up in the middle. You felt that you were a part of the breakdown, the loss, the challenge in some way, but the family as a whole or the organization you worked within dissolved into not being able to agree on the best way to proceed. There was an argument, there was a significant disagreement that broke the family in many ways, broke the organization or the team or the group that was coalesced around an achievement or a success. In the present, the Queen of Wands is clarified by the Eight of Swords and the Queen of Swords. Wow. So there is still a shadow of this energy around you. Some of it is the ancestor, but it feels like familial ancestors around the results of your work, your effort, your achievements. There has been a lot of exposure. You've learned a lot about your craft. You know an infinite number of strategies to serve others. You're very good at your job. However, there's a part of you that extracted the desire to serve others and focused more intently on serving yourself or profiting from the work that you did. So the language of assistance was the way in which you facilitated contracts with others. I agreed to help you with this. And in the final analysis, you ended up profiting in ways that perhaps were in alignment with your industry, but not in alignment with your pledge to be of help. So there's some kind of separation that happened for you, seeing the goal as being the ability to make profit rather than the ability to help others. And somehow you became divorced from that, but you are currently recognizing that, and you are coming to a place of releasing that self-identification that sees yourself as profiting, as gathering a lot of abundance or wealth or prosperity. That connection of self-image is changing. And so the high priestess comes back again in a new setting along with the moon. And the moon is about your willingness to face the change that occurred in your practice from your earliest goal of helping others, providing guidance, counsel, assistance through your work, whatever that was. And the way in which you reverted, it feels as though, to a model of someone in your family who became very wealthy, helping others, but ultimately helping themselves. And you're really now facing how, not only how you saw that as admirable and something you once wanted to emulate, but the ways in which it damaged you. You lost something in your identification with that particular model of achievement. And now the wisdom of ancestors, other ancestors, these are not the same, but they're also familial. They're part of the same family, perhaps, and this is why I'm thinking of relatives that may now have passed, but that were actively guiding you when you were young. One in particular that is still available to you in some way, that you still go to for help. But you are understanding now that people can work together not only to enrich themselves, but to provide excellent service, that they are not mutually exclusive in the way that you once perhaps understood it. And you now understand that because you've looked honestly at what that experience of mentorship and guidance from your past was really about, how it dissolved or broke apart a team, a family, a group that had always worked together, that had shared values. And now you're understanding that this team, you're able to work with a team that shares your values to achieve both. That you can be of high service and value to others and still make money, still enhance your abundance. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it comes from this ability to be deeply honest, to face your fears, your fear of loss, of scarcity, of lack, of not having money. That can be absolutely fundamental. And the way that in the past you might have identified freedom is the ability to have money to be free. But your appreciation of freedom has changed, can change if you are honest about that experience and your behaviors as a result of that. And how you now see the possibility of moving to a new level, building a new version of yourself that is able to achieve all of it at once and still be making a powerful contribution to the community. I'm going to finish this reading with a flower oracle and hope that this has been insightful for you. On top is stock, and it says slow down. The pace must abate before it's too late. And if I know anything about Geminis, and I know that Uranus has just moved into your sign, so the electric energy is pulsing through you, depending on where Gemini is in your chart. But this is electricity on steroids. You are all about networking, making connections, new ideas, reaching out, connecting with people in as physical a way as the technology makes available. So this is really beautiful energy and really is auguring a fantastic time of growth for you. Thank you so much for this reading, Gemini. Until next time, namaste.